It's the Sports Peninsula podcast coming up. We're talking boxing again with our special guest, Chops, from the Original Sports Podcast. First, we'll review last weekend's Super Middleweight Championship contest between Edgar Berlanga and the undisputed champion Canelo Alvarez. We'll also preview the heavyweight contest on Saturday, September 21st, when Anthony Joshua takes on Daniel Dubois for the IBF title at Wembley Stadium. Now, here is your Sports Peninsula team. Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Peninsula Podcast. My name is Dave Drzinski Drew, and it is Wednesday, September 18th. We're just 3 days away from the IBF Heavyweight Championship fight. I have trouble saying that, between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. And joining me to talk about that and more is, of course, from the Original Sports Podcast, Chops Michael Mills. Chops, how you doing?
Man, it's great. You know how it is, man. Great. I'm glad to be here. Ready to see what's going on. We had some good stuff going on. We got some good stuff coming up. What could be coming up is what's got me more intrigued. So you know me, man. I'm glad to be here. Ready to love talking boxing. So I'm ready to go, man. And my Steelers are 2-0. It's a good day in sports for me right now, brother.
That's with an injured Russell Wilson, by the way.
I know.
Fields leading the way.
He is. It's going to be rough this week. We got San Diego in town, but we'll see, man. I got to get, black and gold all the way, baby.
Yeah, my Lions are 1-1, and there's panic in Detroit. A little David Bowie.
That to me, and I'm a golf guy. Those two interceptions hurt. They hurt. When they were thrown, they hurt.
It hurt Jamison Williams too, and he was clotheslined on the first one, and didn't get called. The second one, the novice fan's gonna say golf sucks. He threw it to nobody. Well, yeah, did he, or did the receiver break the wrong way? We don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Jared Goff's gonna keep that in the locker room. They're gonna take care of it.
Yeah.
Not worried yet at all.
I'll admit. I mean, if you're gonna be honest, I think you'll have more better plays from Goff than you'll have bad plays. You know what I mean? So, and it happens. Hell, remember last year, even with your boy Mahomes, they ended up winning the Super Bowl. Halfway through the season, nobody was even picking them to go far into the playoffs. You know what I mean? So even Mahomes has had bad games.
Yeah, exactly.
So
long
that's the nature of the beast. Yeah, it is. Exactly.
But I'll tell you what, we're only 3 days away from that Joshua Dubois fight, but we're going to preview the Canelo Edgar Berlanga fight first, Chops. And I know you watched it, and basically, nobody was surprised at the outcome. But I'll be honest with you, when you look at the scorecards, it was a landslide. But did you think it was that lopsided of a fight, in your opinion?
Yes, but here's why. It was okay. When you right here, where you have the third round knockdown. It looked like Canelo just got mad for a brief moment. The look on his face. Normally, he throws punches, and his face ice. No. But when he threw that one, it was almost like. And what was it? Was that a left hand lead? I think it was a left hand. He didn't set it up with a combination. He just threw it, and he almost like gritted his teeth. And when he came with that, man, he sat him down. Now, why I also had it a landslide was because Berlanga, the rounds were close, some of them, and I don't even want to say close because I still had Canelo winning them. He wasn't abusing him in all the rounds, but to me, he was the winner of the round. Not emphatically, not overwhelmingly, no 10-8 rounds, having without a knockdown, but I had Canelo. I honestly said maybe I gave him one round, possibly two for Berlanga, and that was giving him some, later rounds where I was like, all right, maybe I'll give him that one. I'll give him that one. But I honestly felt comfortable giving him every round, giving your boy Canelo every round. I just did. I did.
I mean, to me, it was the closest landslide you're going to see because, like you said, every round, it's not like Canelo just beat him down, but he did more. He always did more, or he was consistently landing more power shots, and that's always going to catch judges' eyes. It caught my eyes, caught yours.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's just how it is. But I mean, I tell you what, Berlanga is tough. He's a tough dude, and I mean, he started out his first 16 fights, right? First round knockouts. That was a string going on. That was a big deal. He doesn't have the name attraction, but that's a bad dude. And after the fight, all the rhetoric, died down and everything. And he had respect for me, and he said, say, hey, man, I'm sorry, I lost my cool, because he was pretty hot in a lot of those press conferences. You got to be right.
And I liked a couple of those press conferences where your guy Canelo said, "Hey, pipe down, buddy. You're gonna get your turn. Right? Pipe down." I like that.
Yeah,
I liked it. It was good stuff.
I mean, Berlanga's a strong fighter. He held up very well. I think by the 11th round, you started to see some wear and tear on his face, but he was still throwing.
Yes, yeah. He's young. He should have that. And again, Canelo was hitting him in solidly, but he didn't have any 6-5 or 5, 6, 7, 8 punch combinations. He didn't rock him anywhere else where he was saved by the bells in Berlanga. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, oh, he barely made it out of the round. We didn't get any of that. So I can understand why 25-year prime. I understand why he was able to go late into the fight. Here's my question. Is Canelo's chin truly made of granite, or is it never really been hit? Because nobody looks like, even when he lost and he was beat up, but he was still there. You know what I mean? So I thought Berlanga, with his speed, power, 16-0 knockouts, he had power, and I thought his chin could get tested. As in Canelo's, never came to be the situation. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm going to say this, and he actually was posting on Twitter for a couple of weeks before the fight, all of the work he was doing on his neck. And we're talking putting the harness on and taking the 45 plate, going up and down. He was doing neck bridges on a Swiss ball and on the ball step. I mean, his traps and his neck are so strong that he's able to absorb a lot more punishment to the face, and his head's not snapping back because he's built the muscles up around his trap. Tell you what, it's smart. It's very effective training. And I think a lot of boxers ought to take note of that, because you're right. He got smoked a couple times.
Yes.
Man, he came out. I mean, basically it didn't look like it affected him. His neck is so strong. And that's the key. You can have a strong chin, but you got to have a strong neck.
Yes.
He does well.
And I hate to, it's just eluding me. Has he ever been knocked down?
Not to my knowledge.
And even when, like I said, even when he lost to Bivol, unanimous decision, he was just, I hate to say it because he's a great fighter, he was outclassed. Yeah. Bivol too big, too strong, but he still didn't knock him out, didn't knock him down. Nope. So I'm like, and then I thought about this. We've seen with Berlanga, right? I hate to. Munguia, Berlanga. Who are these guys fighting? Because we're seeing a lot of guys 17-0, 18-0, 13 knockouts, 19-0, 13, 14, 15 knockouts. But then they're stepping up against champs like this, and the power's not there. You know what I mean? So Berlanga started out 16-0. Jaime Munguia, I told you I was a Munguia guy.
Yeah.
He had power. But when he gets in there against Canelo, and again, that's not fair because nobody has ever rocked Canelo. But, there's a lot of times you get knocked down, even if it's a flash knockdown. We don't see it. Berlanga, that was a flash knockdown, hit him solid, dropped him, never did it again. But we've never even seen that from Canelo. And I just wonder, man, I don't know. Can he be hurt? Every man can be hurt. But what would that do to his mental psyche if he gets knocked down?
Well, yeah, you're right. Especially this late in the game for him in his career. I mean, yeah, it would definitely be a shock, no question.
Oh man.
Yeah, and you don't know. We don't know how his psyche can handle that. We know he can take a beating. Golovkin beat on him a couple fights. Bivol certainly did. Berlanga got some good shots in on him too. Floyd just outclassed him and outboxed
he was young. He was young.
Very young.
He got him. Floyd got him at the right time. Because to be honest, if you think about it, with Canelo, Shannon Briggs comes to mind. Shannon Briggs, remember the heavyweight, Shannon Briggs, monster. He got cut in a fight and saw his own blood, and it was like he just shut down. I'm not saying he shut down, but You saw the difference when he saw his own blood. And there have been other fighters like that. You know what I mean? Or even Ryan Garcia. To me, when he got hit with that body shot, no mas. No mas. You know what I mean? He didn't want anymore. And what would it be like for Canelo? He gets knocked down. He gets badly cut. Even if it's under the eye. How does that affect him? I want to see that. You're right. He's a seasoned vet. But if none of that's ever happened, you don't know how you react until it happens.
Yep.
You
And
know,
I'll tell you what, I mean, but like I said, his training regimen, the way he works his neck, to me, I mean, you got to be an elite fighter to be Canelo. We already know that because most have not been able to pull it off. But at the end of the day, I've not really seen anyone try to attack him in the body. I just haven't. And to me, if you're going to really try to hurt Canelo, you got to try and hit that liver.
You're right. But what Canelo, man, he can almost fight you in a phone booth. His defense is so tight and so crisp. His elbows are always low. His gloves are always high. And it's crazy because he's fought some of the best in the world. And it's not even like they come out and with the first 10, 15 seconds get rocked and the plans get abandoned. You know, the game plan gets abandoned. Nobody's digging that body even early. What do they see or not see in film study that none of the coaches are even trying to attack? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, Bivol did some work downstairs, but Bivol was able to keep him off balance and keep him at an arm's length because he had the reach advantage and he had the height advantage, general size advantage over Canelo. And at the end of the day, he was successful in doing that, and Canelo just could not get inside.
I know.
And probably not part of the game plan. I mean, a guy like Alvarez, let's face it, you're going to go into a fight and you're not so much worried about what the other guy's doing. You're thinking the other guy needs to worry about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And probably not a good game plan against Bivol in hindsight, because that's always 2020.
Yeah. That's true.
Before we get into maybe what's next for Canelo, just real quick, I'd like to talk about the undercard of this fight, not in great detail, but man, we saw Danny Garcia get TKO'd.
I know.
Caleb Plant impressed me because
I know. That's the nature, but that's the nature of the beast, Drew. He got TKO'd, which nobody expected, but you never know. And to me, there's a couple fighters, whether like even people, even Floyd, who finished undefeated, I'm looking at it right now. People said he sucker punched the fighter. I can't remember the guy. I can't remember. Ortiz
deserved it.
He's been in some wars. He caught, Canelo Alvarez early, but at some point, everybody has either been rocked, got caught, whatever, and you fight through it, whatever. Yeah. But that to me is also the nature of the business. Anything can happen when the leather's flying. So that shocked a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, Canelo, gosh, he's a great fighter, obviously. Nobody. It's kind of, I'll talk about it, with Tyson, nobody could figure out Mike Tyson. And if you even had a prayer figure him out, you're probably too scared to even try.
Yeah.
Buster Douglas said, "Hey, I'm going to jab the shit out of him."
Yeah.
And after about 6 rounds, you start seeing the ill effects of that.
And let's not forget though, and I hate to do this, everybody knows I'm a big Tyson guy, and I was back then. Don't forget, Tyson got knocked down sparring week leading up to that fight. Tyson had never been knocked down, and he got knocked down in that sparring session leading up to Buster Douglas, number one. Number two, his corner didn't even have an in-swell. I don't know what kind of camp he had that they didn't even bring an in-swell. It's not like they left in the locker room and somebody had to go get it. They didn't have one. That to me, I don't know how much of a great camp that was. And I think that was Rich Giacchetti at the time.
Okay.
I think it was Rich Giacchetti, and it was early for Tyson. But nonetheless, he still lost. And the losses on his record. And Buster Douglas didn't know he wasn't training. He thought it was the same Mike Tyson, and he did what he had to do. He did what he had to do. But, and again, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but we talked about this before, even with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder has losses to guys who actually have and use a little technique. That's what maybe guys need to use because let's not forget, with Munguia, with Berlanga, they were given shots and people thought they had a puncher's chance. We never talked about if they working behind a jab. They had to set up, whatever have you. You're talking about working the body. But we're just like, these guys have a shot because they throw heavy hands, they got power. That's not how you beat some of the most elite fighters in the world, by a hope and a prayer. That's not how it gets done. You know what I mean? And I think Fury, I'm not a huge Fury guy, but I give props where they're due. Like, he doesn't have the great body, but he works well with what he's got. He knew, I'm 6'9", my jab can go a block and a half. I'm going to use it. And he used it. He stuck behind it. I don't understand why. We know just standing in front of Canelo, unless you're bigger than he is, like Bivol was, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. So we got to try something else, because we know how this book ends, just trying to bang with him. Maybe somebody will get it.
We hope, because we would like, I mean, this was an entertaining fight, but let's face it, at the end of the day, when you've got scorecards of 118, 110, or 117, 110, 118, 109, it probably wasn't the best. But like I said, for a 12-round lopsided victory, it actually was an entertaining fight. So I will give Berlanga that. He definitely hung in there. So the question becomes, so who is next for the champ, for Canelo? And there's three names that come to mind right off the hop. And I'm not sure, Chops, to be honest with you, if any of them realistically are in the mix. But let's talk about them. And the first one we got to talk about is Bud Crawford. Now, the key here is it's got to be at a catch weight.
Okay.
And, you know, I read a lot about Bud rehydrating it before fights, you know, in the day before, to about $165. Yeah. Canelo obviously has fought at 160, but that was when he first started. That may be a challenge to get down to that weight.
I know.
That's where, to me, that's the issue here. Is Canelo just too big for Bud?
Well,
go ahead.
Do you know what Bud walks around at? Because remember, they said Tyson used to walk around 260, 270 sometime between fights when he was really overweight. But then he would get down to 220, 218. I don't know that Bud walks around at 180. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I don't.
But I don't know what the weight is. But that's the thing, man. I think that could be skill set wise. He's got the skills. He's got the toolbox. I don't know if he has the power. I really don't. I really don't. And we've seen Bud give away the first 3 or 4 rounds in fights, figure a guy out, end up punishing him, knocking him out later, or pulling away later. I don't think you can afford to give away the first 3 or 4 against Canelo, number one. And number two, your power relies in the accumulation of punches. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you catch a guy here, you catch a guy there, and you might get I just don't know, because we've seen heavier punchers than Bud. But it could be a case of the punch that gets you is the one you don't see coming. Maybe that might be a play. We just have to figure out what weight makes sense. Because, yeah, Bud could go up. Bud could probably go to 168. He probably could put on 168 pounds. How good will he look? How effective will he be? And let's not forget, man, you have to do that correctly. You have to put on that weight correctly. What Bud fight at last time? 154? Or did they go to 160? Okay, 154. And I understand that you and me, well, 154 to 168 is really only, 14, 15 pounds. But in the fight world, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
That it really is, man. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it, man. I just don't know what they're going to do.
If it were to go down, it's going to be a huge, huge pay-per-view draw. I mean, these are two guys that the novice fight fan are well aware of, and even the novice sports fan may shell out for, because they know it's going to be a big deal. I would think the boxing world would want to see that fight, but I understand the trepidation on both sides, because I would not want to ruin my legacy or embarrass myself in a situation where I'm fighting in a weight class that I'm just I really shouldn't be in. And I get it. Whether if you physically can't fight at that level, at that weight, I understand it. But man, that would be a hell of a fight. Now the other fight. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, hold on for a second. Hold on, Drew. Hold on. Stay with me. Ride with me, baby. Ride with me.
All right.
Okay. What if you're the decision maker? You're putting this together, right? What weight do you want to see him fight?
I like 165 as a catch weight, and the reason I do is because I think it still challenges Canelo to come back down a little bit. I would, if I'm Bud, I would ask for 160. I don't think he's going to get it.
Yeah. What Canelo fight at last? 168?
168. Yep. And he fought Bivol and Kovalev at 175.
175, yeah.
Light heavyweight. So
to be honest with you, 165 shouldn't be tough. It's 3 pounds. I don't know how hard it is because we don't hear about him having hard weight cuts to get back to 168, and he's not running out of gas. He's punching and punching hard every round till 12.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And I think I don't think that would be too challenging for Canelo. The question becomes, is Bud comfortable fighting at that weight? Like I said, he's rehydrated many times. It's documented he's at 165 when he's been entering the ring. Is he comfortable training to that weight? I don't know, but the payday would be sweet. And they're both in their mid to late 30s now. So if you're going to make that fight, you better do it now.
Here's the thing. Power is always the last thing to go in a fighter. So yes, they're both middle to late 30s. And Bud, his toolbox is better. I'll give you that. His movement, his punch combinations, his follow through. He's on the angles. He's off the line. Canelo comes right at you. So the question is, what style do you prefer in this? And again, if it was going up one weight class, okay. I just don't know, man. I just don't know with this about Bud, and I'm a big Bud guy. And then, okay, if you train to get to 165, if they can do a 165 catch weight, do you train to get and only go down to 160? So you're going to rehydrate. So you made the one, or you train to get down to 164, weigh in at 160. Now, if you rehydrate, what do you rehydrate to? Because Canelo's rehydrating. So if you're rehydrating to 165, Canelo is going to rehydrate to at least 185. I would say probably close to 185. You know what I mean?
You put a hydration clause in there, maybe.
You know what? I think after what we saw your boy Tank do and the way he was able to beat Garcia, and then Devin Haney didn't want a rehydration clause, and you saw what he looked like. Yes, your boy Garcia was, got popped for PEDs, but he was so much bigger. He made the weight, but then he rehydrated ridiculously.
He didn't make the weight. He was off by
3 pounds off. 3 pounds off. You're right. 3 pounds off.
Yeah, I would say it. You see, I mean, the more clauses we start talking about, the more I already know in my head this ain't happening. But
I know. You know what though? Honestly, if I'm a fighter and I know I need to step up and I need a catch weight or I want a hydration clause, I call Tank. What did your team do? How did your team do it?
Yeah.
To get that in. Now, again, the guy I'm fighting, his team may not go for it. However, it gives you a basic foundation where to start. And hopefully they'll agree to it, whatever have you, and then go from there. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But okay, so scale 1 to 10, 10 being the greatest. How do you think we'll see Bud versus Canelo?
10, so 10 being a definite and 1 no way.
Yeah,
I'll give it a 3. Honestly, give it a 3. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think there's a shot, and if it does, it's going to be awesome.
I'll be honest with you. If you would have asked me this before we got on here tonight, I'd have said it's an 8 or a 9. I'd have said an 8 or a 9. Reason being is Bud has nothing else to prove in his weight class. Canelo could move up. He could fight Bivol again. Nobody really wants to see that. Who else? He's beaten everybody else pretty much in his weight class. There's a couple, but we don't really want to see those. So Canelo and your boy and Crawford make the most sense. But now where do we do weight? Because it's harder for the smaller guy to put on weight correctly when you're older. It's harder for the heavier guy to lose much weight when you're older. That's going to be the thing. That'll be where do you have the catch weight?
Yeah.
Now ideally, if they're both in their mid to late 20s, one goes up 6, one comes down 6 to 8, let's do it. Great. But now it's hard to do that. You know what I mean? It's those guys. So I'm not as hyped, man. I don't know. I'm gonna go a 5. I wanted to go a 6 or higher, but I'm gonna go 5, and only because of this catch weight. How much does it play a part?
Yeah, it's just tricky. I mean, at face value, it's the fight to make, but there's so many intricacies in this. We'll see. That's what I want to see of the three we're going to talk about here. The second one we'll talk about is the one that actually Canelo just came out with and said he'd like to challenge Bivol again, assuming he beats Beterbiev next month for the light heavyweight championship to avenge that loss. Now, what I always heard before, like right after the loss, is that he would want to fight Bivol again, but he'd want it to be at the super middleweight 168. Bivol said, yeah, I would do that. So my question to you would be, do you think if that fight gets made, would it be at 168? And you kind of already answered my first thought was, would you even want to see the fight? And I don't think a lot of people do, because I think we all kind of assume when we know what's going to happen. But talk about your thoughts on that one.
Well, you threw a little monkey wrench in there, because now you're talking about a catch weight. I don't know if I'd come down to 168, but I'll do you 170. If I'm Bivol, I'll do 170. However, this fight with Benavidez means a lot, because if he goes in and ragdolls him, just punishes him, that means he's getting better, he's getting stronger. So we want you to lose a few pounds, okay, but the strength is still going to be there. You're still going to be naturally bigger and stronger than Canelo. You know what I mean? You still are. What do you know what Bivol's age is? Do you know what Bivol's age is?
I'm guessing, but I think it's like 29 or 28, I believe. He's not that old. Yeah. I don't believe.
Yeah, man, that to me is just, I just don't see it, man. Hold on, let me look real quick. I just don't. Bivol right now, he's 33.
33, okay.
He's 33, and he'd be 34 before they fought, because he'll be 34 in December. That could play a part, man. But I think if he comes in and runs buckshot through Benavidez and just pummels him.
Oh, Beterbiev.
Beterbiev. If he does that, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to see him in Canelo again. I really don't. I don't.
I don't know if Canelo would want to see Bivol again if he beats Beterbiev soundly, like you're saying. Yeah, I don't. Quite frankly, I don't think the boxing fans would really want to see that, because I'll be honest, if he does that, I don't think Canelo would have much of a shot against him.
And here's the thing: if he fights him, right, and he takes him, and he just not knocks him out in the second round from a nice combination, and he just beat right then and there. But if Bivol can punish him for 7-8 rounds, then knock him out, and I mean, maybe if it goes 8 and Bivol wins 7 soundly, and it possibly you wanted to give one, then I definitely don't want to see that. I don't want to see a rematch between him and Canelo. If he comes out, catches, oh boy, all right, well, if you want to try to set it up, all right, let's try to set up. I'll watch. But if he runs through him, then there's nothing I want to see. There's nothing. I don't want to see it.
So
that's me.
I agree with you too, honestly, because I don't think Canelo can beat Bivol. If Bivol's better than even, and if he beats Beterbiev, there's no doubt he's better than what he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the guy I really think is the easiest one to make, because it's It's not a big deal. There's no real issue with weight. David Benavidez is certainly a super middleweight at 168 to fight for the Canelo's titles. But Canelo doesn't seem to want any part of David Benavidez.
Why do you think that is?
I think he's got a lot of power. He's very unorthodox. He's hard to figure out. His punches come from weird angles, much like Beterbiev, which is why Bivol and him are such a contrast in styles. I can't wait to preview that one next month. But David Benavidez is a very tough fighter, very skilled, but he's very unorthodox, and that's not. When you think about who Canelo's fought, I mean, how many guys has he fought that are really that kind of like a wild card type fighter? I can't think of any off the top of my head. I mean, Triple G is pretty straightforward. Bivol was straightforward. I mean, they're not that they're not great fighters. They're great fighters, but they won't surprise you with anything. They're just going to hurt you.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you okay? So Benavidez, because they're the same weight class, that's what interests you the most?
I think it's the easiest fight to make in terms of
they're the same weight class.
Yeah, physicality. We're not going to have any haggling over the weight or any rehydration. It's straight up super middleweight.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to make sure. Okay. So, but which fight do you want to see the most?
The Bud Crawford fight, without question, is the one I want to see the most. But the next one would be Benavidez. I'm not interested in seeing Bivol.
Okay, I got you. And I've been racking my brain. Is there any young gun coming up that you'd want to see him fight? I couldn't think of any. And that's why. And I hate to even say a young gun, because if you're not ranked in the top 5, what are we doing? Yeah. And he's he's beat 3 or 4 other top 5 already, or something like that. So, all right. So we both want to see Crawford. Benavidez makes the best sense because it's the same weight class. So having said that, I don't want to see it just because they're the same weight class.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's like, that's not a reason to see a fight necessarily. I think Benavidez is a very good fighter. I like David Benavidez. I like watching him. I think he'd give Canelo a hell of a fight. I'm not even sure how that one would go. I'd have to do a lot more scouting on that one. On Benavidez, we certainly have seen a lot of Canelo. But I mean, that'd be a great fight. But Bivol, I admire the fact that Canelo wants Bivol. If he's being honest, because it's like, hey, I mean, you're going against a guy that soundly beat you.
Well, Bivol's had what though? Bivol. But Canelo's had what? How many fights since Bivol? 3, 4, 2 or 3?
3.
I know he's had. Yeah. How long? But Bivol is 33. He is 33, so maybe he's hoping he doesn't act like a fine wine and get better with age. Maybe he's waiting for him to go. I don't know. Possible. But neither one of us have seen anything I haven't. I can't speak for you. I haven't seen anything that will make me think Bivol Canelo 2 will be any different than 1. Not to me. You know what I mean?
I agree with you, and that's why probably most fight fans won't want to see that. And it's not. Let's face it. I mean, as great of a fighter, Dimitri Bivol's a great fighter. He doesn't have the name recognition for the novice fan. He's not going to bring in those dollars.
No. To me, for both of these cats, Crawford, Canelo, make a mega fight, mega huge payday. Get the payday. If you're Canelo and you win soundly, not even soundly, then it's 168. Go for Bivol. If you beat Crawford, go for Bivol. Run out 168. Excuse me, Benavidez. Go for Benavidez. Run out the 168. I've taken everybody out. If you want to try to get my get back against Bivol, do it. Now, if you're Crawford and you do beat Canelo, do you then try to go at Benavidez at 168?
Ooh. If I'm Crawford, I ain't going after Benavidez.
I got you.
It's too risky, and the dollars won't be there. I mean, if the money was there, it's still a big risk. But Bud's a great fighter. I mean, I'm sure he's not afraid of to face anybody. But you want to be smart about that too. I don't see that. To me, Canelo's the fight.
Oh, no. I'm saying if he beats Canelo, if he beats Canelo, do you say, I beat the best at 168, I believe. I then want one more mega payday in Benavidez, or I got him in a catchweight. Because I don't think, do you think you get Benavidez as a catchweight? Maybe. I don't know. We're jumping ahead of ourselves because we got to see who to connect. But it's so interesting. It is so interesting. Boxing is hot right now, man. It really is. Definitely. It really is.
A lot of good fights coming up here at the end of the year. And let's talk about the next one here, Chops. And on paper, yes, this is a decent fight, but it actually is for the IBF World Heavyweight Championship because Alexander Usyk was stripped of the IBF title because he didn't fight, and I couldn't tell you who the mandatory challenger was for the IBF, and I think this is, quite frankly, I think it's a joke because he just beat the WBC and Ring Magazine lineal champion in Tyson Fury, and there was a rematch clause in the contract. Yeah, you're going to strip him of the title. That's just politics, man. And so now this fight has a little bit of stroke behind it because it's for a belt that Daniel Dubois holds. Daniel Dubois won the vacant title as an interim, and now they've made him the full-time heavyweight champion, IBF. So Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois are going to fight in Wembley Stadium. They're both from the UK, so it's going to be 85, 90,000 people they're watching. This is an interesting fight. So let's talk about that. And I'm going to jump to the tail of the tape here. I'm going to get a little better view of this one. They're similar in size, Chops, to be honest with you. Let me get us in there a bit because we want to see our pretty faces too. But talk about the tail of the tape. I mean, they're only an inch apart in height, but I think Josh was a 4-inch reach advantage. So that's kind of significant.
Yeah, you know how I feel about the reach advantage. You know that means nothing to me. The way they do it, it means nothing to me. Okay, big dog. Okay. If it wasn't for this belt, I know that I think I'm gonna know I know the answer, but I'm still gonna ask. This wasn't for the belt. Would you want to see this fight?
I would see it because it's only $20.
Exactly. You watch it. You watch it. You're not running to the tube to watch. You're not running to the television to watch it.
No.
And because you don't know what Joshua you're gonna get. You know what I'm saying? And I can't even say that Joshua that came in, excuse me, and just destroyed Ngannou. Ngannou wasn't a top boxer. He should have done that to him. You know what I'm saying? But are we going to get the Joshua who fought the guy who he has in him when he beat Klitschko? Or are we going to get the Joshua who gets knocked out by Ruiz or knocked down and beaten by Ruiz? You know what I'm saying? Dubois. What do you want to call it, a low blow, Belcher? I don't know. He was fighting good with Usyk. He was fighting good with Usyk. Then what happens? The bottom fell out. Yeah. He ended up quitting. You know what I'm saying? So, and they both have power. They both, but will that, is that 7-year age difference going to matter? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. If we're going experience, you got to give Joshua. Joshua's experience is going to reign supreme in who he's been in there with. I don't know, man. I just don't know. Let me ask you this. Whose skill set is better?
Anthony Joshua is a beautiful textbook fighter. I really love he has, to me, he's got everything. His issues are up here in my mind.
And that's the thing. Where the head goes, the body will follow. True. If his head is not right, and that's boxing for anybody. That's boxing 101. The head has got to be right. That's what we just don't know. You know what I mean? We just don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Here's what I do like about Joshua and just looking at his last fights. Recent fights. Like you said, he beat Klitschko, extremely impressive.
Years ago, but it happened.
Yeah, it happened. And, and he certainly, but okay, let's, starting from when he lost to Ruiz the first time, it was a garbage game plan. Terrible fight. Second fight was boring as what, but you know what? He did exactly what he should have did and just stick and moved and outclassed Ruiz for 12 rounds. Easy decision. He beats Pulev by a KO, Then he loses twice to Usyk. So now the wheels are falling off the cart, so to speak, right? And then his next fight's Jermaine Franklin. He gets the unanimous decision, but he wasn't real impressive in the process.
No.
But what I do like, even though he hasn't really fought anyone of significance, he's gotten better with each of the last 4 fights. He gets the decision over Franklin. Then he KOs Robert Helenius in the 7th round, knocked him cold. Then Otto Wallin couldn't answer the bell. His corner threw in the towel after the 5th round. Then, even though Ngannou not a true heavyweight boxer, but Ngannou knocked Fury down, and quite frankly, a lot of people thought that he beat Fury on the cards, even though Fury got the nod. He knocked him out in the 2nd round. I think we're seeing a slow improvement, but he's going to have to be a lot better to beat Daniel Dubois, because Daniel Dubois is a pretty skilled fighter. And I'm not saying Daniel Dubois is beating the best of the best. You brought up the Usyk fight. It was a very good fight, and like you said, that shot, I don't believe that was a low blow. In my opinion, I thought that was on the belt line, and
Correct.
Usyk sold it well. Hey, he's a professional. He's a pro. He sold it well. Referee called it a low blow. Probably turned the fight around. But in the last 2 fights, he got a TKO over Jerome Miller, and then he got a TKO over Filip Hrgovic, and he won when he won the IBF title. So he's gotten better in the last couple.
That Hrgovic was impressive, because a lot of people, depending on it, could have had him borderline top 5 at the heavyweights. Could have had him borderline top 5 at heavyweights. Now, having said that, when you went back to Joshua, you realize now let's recap that real quick.
Okay.
He had Ngannou, not a boxer. Otto, and like I said, he beat him. He didn't answer the what bell was that, the 5th round. He didn't answer the bell, or okay. Then Helenius. Okay, yep. Helenius. How old? No disrespect. How old is Helenius? 38, 39? He's got to be up there in age.
Yeah, and Wilder had KO'd him in the 2nd round.
Yes, he
prior to that.
Yes. And so, and it's hard for me because, okay, and then, like you said, Jermaine Franklin looked lackluster.
Yeah,
so
he did.
Since his 2 fights with Usyk, and the second one was a split decision, I believe it was closer.
Yes, it was.
But then he has a meltdown in the ring, giving Usyk more praise than his mother's ever given him. I don't know, man. And coming up, and Jermaine Franklin, I think his team did him a great service by putting him in the ring with Franklin. This is the rebound you need. We are serving him up for you. This is who you need to knock out and get back on the horse and do whatever. And he just didn't do it. He just didn't do it, man. And I don't know, man. It just, and I thought, truthfully, that should have been a huge step up. Because let's not forget, I was looking before Franklin, Dylan White. There was only 2 names that I had really known to do some things, and Dylan White and Anthony Joshua were those guys. And here's to me the crazy part: he gets majority decision by Dylan White. So then you step in with Anthony Joshua. Do you not respect Joshua? What made you think you could go? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't know. But since his losses to Usyk, the way he handled it in the ring and giving him all the praise, and what I've seen from Joshua, it doesn't give me a lot of he's ready. Yeah, man, I feel good about Joshua going in this one. But if Joshua comes out and does what he's supposed to do, sticks behind his jab, overhand right, uses toolbox, he should be able to get the win. However, Dubois punches hard. I mean, they all do at that size at this level.
Yeah.
But he punches hard. Joshua's going to get hit. Joshua is going to get hit. And let's see how he reacts. Because, again, no disrespect, Helenius was old. Franklin is he was what he was, hadn't had a whole lot of power, so I don't know if we can really judge his power. Ngannou's not a boxer. He has a lot of power, but he's not a boxer. Usyk is not a powerful puncher. So we saw him knock down and we saw him lose to Ruiz, as in Joshua. We've never, and I'm not gonna say Ruiz is the same puncher that Dubois is. So I don't think he punches as hard as Dubois. So having said that, we've never seen him in trouble. How is he going to respond? Drew, you know what I mean? And and they're both at home. Now, What does Mandalay Bay hold in Vegas? They don't hold 90 grand. They don't hold 90,000.
No.
They're records 30, maybe 30, 35, something like that. I'm not really sure, maybe more, but it can't be. It can't be much more. You know what I mean? So 90,000.
That's a hell of a crowd.
Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely. Let me see. As I was trying to see what the occupancy was of Mandalay Bay, but what I'm saying is 90 grand. Big boy, that big dog, that's a lot. That is a lot. So it's going to be hype. It will be hype for the fight. So I'm interested to see it because I hate to say young guys, but Dubois is actually young, big boys, and they're throwing, and so I'll watch some of it, but I'm not excited about it. And I haven't been excited about heavyweights in a long time, just being honest with you.
Yeah, it's definitely thinned out a bit, no question. We've talked about that many times on the show with you and Justin when he's on. We're talking boxing, but good segue into predictions for this fight. How are you seeing this shake out? Because there's a lot of ifs here.
Big dog, real quick. Mm-hmm. Do you realize the capacity at Mandalay Bay is only about 12,000?
I didn't know it was that small.
Me neither. That's like an intimate say. I had no idea. And I apologize.
No, okay. It really is. That's like we have Van Andel Arena up in Grand Rapids here. That seats about 8,500. But it's a nice arena. But it's only 8,500.
I got you. Man, we're going predictions. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm going to go Dubois. I'm going to go Dubois. Here's the thing. Because I know his toolbox in Joshua. I know he's home. I know this is now his chance. He hasn't looked great in the other ones against Usyk. This is his chance. I'm hoping he's geeked about destroying Ngannou, regardless if he's a top boxer or not. He destroyed him. And I'm hoping he's ready to build on that. And that's where I should go with it. But I'm going with Dubois because I haven't seen enough from Joshua mentally to know, my guy is focused in. Because you've all seen fighters have bad nights, and he'll say, I just couldn't get off. I wasn't the time, this, that, whatever. Crawford destroyed Spence, right? Spence didn't even look himself. You know what I mean? Spence didn't even look himself. That looked to be like one of those nights. You know what I mean? That looked like he just couldn't get right. And I haven't seen enough of Joshua, like 90% of the time, 95% of the time. Joshua's on. Man, this was just one of those nights he wasn't. I don't see him locked in enough mentally. I'm going to go with Dubois. I'm just going to go with Dubois. And only because of the heavy hands, he now has the belt. He probably felt he got robbed against Usyk. He thought whatever have you. But now he has the belt for however he got it. Doesn't matter. It's in his possession. And I'm hoping he comes out ready to defend it. I really do. And I'm going with Dubois.
So decision or KO or?
I'm going to go 6-round KO. I know. Yes. I'm going to go 6-round KO. And the reason I say that because they're built like Adonis, that both of them, but those muscles need oxygen. You don't see these heavyweights knocking cats out late in the fight. You don't see, and if you do, it's because of exertion. The other guy's so just tired, but so you don't see that. So that's why I'm going to go early. When they're still fresh, I'm going to go 6, and I'm going Dubois.
I'm really conflicted here because like if the Joshua that beat down Ngannou, and again, I'm not, no disrespect to Ngannou, but I mean the Joshua we saw in that fight was pretty ready and looked
crisp.
Ready.
He was crisp.
Yeah, and if that's the version of Anthony Joshua we see Saturday, I'm gonna call it, and I'm banking on that happening because there's a huge payday ahead if he wins this fight. And I'm gonna be honest with you, even if Dubois wins this fight, and I think he's got a good shot of doing it, I don't think your pick's that far off here. I'm not sure the winner of the Fury Usyk fight is gonna say, yeah, I want Daniel Dubois next. I'm not sure. Conventionally thinking, yeah, you'd want to reunify the belts. That's the next logical step, but I'm not sure that would happen. But if Anthony Joshua wins this fight, it's almost a slam dunk. He's going to get the winner of the Usyk Fury fight, and he's a big name, and it's going to be big dollars. I think Joshua gets a stop I mean, he's going to get a stoppage in the 9th, a TKO. I don't think he's going to knock Dubois out, but I think he's going to hurt him, and fatigue will set in. And I think that's how he's going to get the stoppage. But again, we got to see the Joshua we saw against Ngannou, or I can easily see what you're predicting in the 6th round for Dubois to win this fight. I could see that happening too. If we see a lesser version of Anthony Joshua than we saw against Ngannou, he loses this fight. He's got to be sharp. He's got to be ready to go. But there's so much at stake to me, Joshua. This is his last shot. He gets this title. He's going to get a massive payday and then get another shot of unifying that belt. I mean, that's a hell of a, who would have thought?
That's a hell of an incentive.
Yeah, and who would have thought after the Ruiz loss and then the 2 losses to Usyk that we'd be talking about Anthony Joshua possibly getting a shot at the undisputed heavyweight championship within a year. I think that.
But that shows you how shallow the heavyweight division is. Because think about it, Drew. You're talking about a guy, like you said, has 2 losses, beat a 40-year-old, beat a lackluster in Franklin. No disrespect to lackluster performance in Franklin, and not a big name.
Nope.
He beat a 40-year-old Hellenis, and now you're in line for another title shot. That's how thin, that's how shallow the heavyweight pool is right now. And it's an embarrassment. It really is. You know what I mean? And think about this. When is the last time you don't even have to answer now. We can do this next time we do a show. The top heavyweights, not heavyweights that were drawn the big dollars and the names were all European or foreign fighters. When Lennox Lewis was there, Lennox Lewis was a king, but there was still the American fighters we wanted, whether it was Rockman, whether it was Riddick, but you know what I'm saying? Other guys, whatever.
Yeah.
Now you got Dubois, you got Jackson, you got Fury, you got, you know what I'm saying, Hergovic. They're all foreign fighters. This is not the baddest man on the planet was always the heavyweight king, the heavyweight champ. And it wasn't a foreign cat. It just wasn't. And I'm not saying but now in the smaller weights, you see a lot of, fighters from other countries that are doing well and running it and working it. Just not just the way the heavyweights been. And I understand times are changing, but it's not even like these heavyweights. And again, the heavyweight who will always show the most has a nice jab. Whether it was Fury, and Fury just got lazy with his because he was out jabbing and out working Usyk and got caught, and it changed the whole perplexity of the fight. When Joshua works in behind his jab, he's nice. That's what he did against Ngannou. Now, again, you should have, because Ngannou's not a pro fighter, but if you come in popping that jab, and the worst part about it is Joshua, it was there for the taking. Once you beat Klitschko, the world was yours and everything in it. And he just sizzled down. It just didn't work out.
I think at least obviously we certainly talked about the 70s, but I was probably just a little before our time.
Yeah.
I mean, the 80s, Mike Tyson was so good. And we had Larry Holmes, then we had Holmes and
Michael Dokes. There was the dude. Yeah.
And, you had Frank Bruno, big dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, are you talking about European fighters or just heavyweights all over?
I was just talking about that decade in the 80s, and then when you went to the 90s, you had Bo and Holyfield and Michael Moore and Big George
Foreman coming back, yeah. And even though
Tyson was still relevant,
yes, I always thought Alex Stewart had nice skill set. He just wasn't the Michael Moore. He wasn't the Foreman. He just wasn't those guys. You know what I mean? So. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's different. So you're going with Joshua. What round?
I'm going 9th round TKO.
Okay. And I'm going Dubois 6th round. We're going to be texting going back and forth anyway. We are.
Yeah.
And just for bragging rights, we always love when we're closer to the round and the pick than anything else. You know what I mean? So
I haven't been doing very well lately. I was on a roll for a while. Now I've been struggling. They've been throwing curveballs at me, man.
You know what though, man? Honestly, you're going to watch the fight. I'm going to watch it. We've done it. We're doing a show on our predictions and who we've got. Are you hype for this fight?
No.
I know. When is the last? And this is for a heavyweight belt.
I was pretty hyped for the Fury Usyk fight.
Yeah.
Pretty hyped. And it was a great fight.
Yes. Yeah. But and think about that. But whether it was when it was Tyson Michael Moore. There was guys that didn't even have belts that you were excited that and we were ready. You know what I'm saying? Now it's just not there, man. It's just not. I don't know, man. I don't know, but it's fighting. I'm gonna watch it. But now, to be honest with you, for me, I'm super middleweight and under. I'm super middleweight and under. That's what I'm really focusing on, man. And the crazy part about it, in a way, 130, 135ers, that's who I'm really liking. A couple 147s, but I've never been a guy that really loved the lower weight classes. I respect them, the Four Kings, Sugar Ray, Sugar Ray, Hagler. Of course, those guys, Alexis Arguello, those cats, you know what I mean? Of course, was always, but I never went much lower than that. Now, like, in a way, the 130s, you know what I mean? The 135s. I'm ready for this, man. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this goes and what happens. But let's try to keep our eye out for a young upcoming heavyweight who we can try to pin, who's going to be the guy. I know you still like Big Baby, whatever have you, but
not anymore. Not anymore. I can't. I stuck with him after that ESPN, that last fight, man. But after the second to last fight, but after this past fight, I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So we'll see, man. Hopefully something will come about it. But, man, hey, again, man, I love doing this with you guys and love doing it. Thank you for having me on. It's great. So we'll keep in touch and we're going to be. And let's see what the undercard brings. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't even looked much at the undercard because I'm not hype about this one. So I don't even know what much is on the undercard.
It's not star-studded. There's some good. I think there's going to be some good fights. I think it's really a lot UK based.
Probably.
Yeah, it's not. Definitely the undercard we had last week for the Canelo fight was pretty good. Even Fulton wasn't even on the main card.
I know.
He struggled. That scared me too. I was like, man, that's another guy I really like too.
Real quick, did you see where Tyson said within the last 7-10 calendar days, as of right now, he's still having a hard time walking, but in 2 months he'll be ready to fight? You didn't see that where Tyson was interviewed and he said, right now I'll send you the article where he said, as of right now I'm having a hard time walking. I thought they postponed it because he had a sickness.
That's what they said.
I didn't think he hurt his leg or twisted anything in training. Why is he having a hard time walking? That's what I need to know.
I don't like this. I don't like the fight at all. I will not pay to watch a Paul fight. I don't care if Mike Tyson, because to me it's a travesty. Mike Tyson. I know he lost fights. Of course he lost fights, but
to real fighters, and he was past his prime.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I get it. I mean, if someone threw 40, 50 million in my face, I'm probably going to dance, but to me, if he doesn't beat Paul, it stinks. I mean, it reeks of a fix in my mind. And if Paul does beat him, who did he beat? 59-year-old man? I mean, come on. I think
he'll be 60 or almost 60. No, you're right. He'll be 50. No, he's 59. He's 58 now. So he'll still be, 58. Okay. All right, real quick, because I'm going to look, because I want to make sure I get the correct name. That was it, Kevin McBride. I don't know why I was thinking someone else. When Tyson lost to Kevin McBride, he sat there in the interview and he said, no disrespect to you, Danny. No disrespect to this guy. No disrespect. But if I can't beat this guy, I shouldn't be fighting anymore. Goodness. He said it. And he said it, no disrespect to you, which then came with disrespectful comment. But he was right. If I couldn't beat Kevin McBride, I should no longer be doing it. I really should. I shouldn't do it. You know what I mean? So, and after that, real quick, he is in McBride, lost 7 of his next 9 after fighting Tyson. Tyson knew he was done, man. And the crazy part about it was Tyson got knocked down and just quit. He knew he didn't have anymore. And this, again, but it shows where millions of people are showing up or tuning in to watch a YouTuber fight. That's what we become. It's hard, man. And I have, and on my other podcasts, they tell me, Chops, you are a curmudgeon. And I become the old get off my lawn type of guy because I can't take this, man. I can't. It's hard. It's hard to watch. It is hard to watch. And then we have these people feeding into his press conferences. And the one when they were talking about before they postponed it real quick, a fighter stood up and said, Jake, you say you want to be taken as a real fighter and a real contender. When are you going to fight? When are you going to stop fighting these gimmick fights and fight a real fighter? And he flips the question and says, Mike, I think he called you a gimmick. And Tyson said, you calling me a gimmick? And the dude's like, no, sir. And I was like, yes, Mike, you're 58. Yeah. No real organization, no real is going to sanction this. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Hell, you saw your boy Roy Jones lose to an MMA fighter when he fought and lost to, and I'm looking at him right now and his brother, but your boy, he fought Roy Jones Jr. He fought an MMA guy in a boxing match and lost. These guys but he's old. He's in his mid to late 50s. You know, you can't do it anymore like you. Anthony Pettis. That's what Anthony Showtime Pettis. But all right, man. We'll see.
Exactly. We'll see. I can't wait to watch this fight. Well, certainly it's for heavyweight championship, right? IBF. So it's going to be good to watch. And then, of course, that Bivol better be a fight coming up next month.
We'll talk on that one because we'll also, okay, real quick. If Joshua wins in spectacular fashion, it drums up interest in the winner of Usyk Fury 2. Yep. If he is a mental case and loses it, do we see him in another big fight? Do we see him?
We shouldn't.
And I'm glad you said that. We shouldn't, because I almost wanted to say no, but then you just ran it down. He had 2 losses, fought nobody, and now he's fighting for a belt again. You know what I mean? So yeah, all right. So we'll see, man. We will see.
He's being handed a golden opportunity to get back to where he was. It's gonna be a challenge, but
yeah.
You know, let's face it. I mean, Dubois is a nice fighter. I wouldn't if he was fighting Fury or Usyk.
No. But he always has the power to do something. That's what I'm relying on, the power.
Yes, he does.
Not relying on the skill set, relying on the power. We'll see, man.
Hey, Chops, before we wrap this one up, what are you guys doing on the Original Sports Podcast?
Man, like I said, we just had Worley on. We're going to wait for another 2 weeks. After the 4th game of the season, we're going to have Noah Strackbean. He's a beat writer for the Steelers, inside guy, to see how we're thinking of what the Steelers, first 4 games went. But we also have another podcast. We branched off on the platform that we're on. They asked us if we do another one called Let's Talk Sports, where we pick 5 NFL games every week, highlight them, highs and lows, any key injuries, and we talk about that, do our predictions. So honestly, man, we're just having a good time. And now it's my favorite time of year now because we got college and pro football, but always towards the end of the year, the fight game tries to get some good fights in, whether it's boxing or MMA, which I'm both. So I'm excited, man. So we're just living our best life, having great, just in covering sports and keep doing what we're doing, man.
Awesome. We'll keep it up, man. Yeah. Check out that Worley interview, Tim Worley, former
UGA. Yeah. UGA. And the crazy part about it is he was in a celebrity golf tournament. So time got pushed back, and we're on a strict time frame that hour because we have a Roku channel and we get 8 to 9 that we always do our show. So there were a lot of things that we were not able to get into with Tim. So he'll be coming back this season because he's still a huge Steeler fan. So we're going to talk Steelers football with him, and we're going to get an interview with him, and it's going to be more on a personal level and the demons he's battled. And it is a great insight on how he turned himself around from what he had and became the great motivational speaker that he is. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a good time, man. It's going to be a good time, and I'm really looking forward to having him on. And that's the first guest in a long time that I can't wait to get him back on, because we know the interview could have been so much better and so much longer and so much more informative. But we had a great time last night, in our last podcast.
That's awesome. Check that out, folks. Hey, thanks for watching us at Sports Peninsula Podcast. Like and subscribe. Got content every Thursday. We're doing Detroit Lions game reviews and previews for the next week coming up. They're 1-1. They're going to be okay, but take it easy, everybody. We don't need to throw our season tickets away yet. It's okay. But check us out. We appreciate everyone's watching. Chops, thanks for joining me as always, and thank you for watching. I'm Drew. Take care, everybody. We will talk to you soon. This has been the Sports Peninsula Podcast. To subscribe to the podcast, simply click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel's homepage and give us a like. You can also follow our audio podcast on multiple platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts, just to name a few. Give us a follow on Twitter. Our handle is @SportsPodcast to check out our latest releases. Thank you again for watching and for your support. Remember, when you want to hear all about sports in the great state of Michigan, there is only one Sports Peninsula Podcast.